Hi, this is Corncod One of Nationalist News and Notes. Today, I'm gonna give a little psychological warfare lesson on how nationalist populists can gain ascendancy over uh, the leftist neo-Marxist meme of crying Mexican children. Uh, the crying Mexican children idea was the first really good, or meaning effective, psychological warfare tactic that the left used against us a couple of weeks ago. It's beginning to fade, but I think because they are unimaginative idiots, they're going to use it again in the future, and so we have to have a tactic to go up against it. Now, I got to give Mr. Corey Lewandowski a lot of credit for his wah wah reply to a leftist journalist that was waxing poetic about handicapped Mexican children. Good job. Irony is always an effective tool, especially with our youth, millennials and post-millennials. Very good. He should get the Presidential Medal of Freedom, as far as I'm concerned. But we have to have something a little bit more effective. And I think the effective tactic is to basically say, we prefer the working class in the United States over crying Mexican children who are not citizens. Number one, because it appeals to a discrete portion of the American public, a portion of the American public that has gone through some terrible times in the last 40 years, whose wages have declined, whose social status has declined. And they're the people, a lot of the people we're fighting for, and they're our voters. So if we tell people that we stand in solidarity with the American working class, then they'll recognize, and the little bulb will pop up over their head, and they'll say, oh yeah, the American working class. And so that's an effective tactic. We got to come right back at them saying, we prefer the American working class over Mexican children, crying or not. You see, our opponents, the neo-Marxists, the people that control the media, the Democratic politicians, the academia, okay, they're not conventional Marxist-Leninists. What their theory is, as opposed to the Marxist-Leninists, is that they see giant masses of third world immigrants as a revolutionary tool. Now, Marx would never agree with anything like that. Marx would refer to these third world immigrants, because they're not skilled workers, they're not truly working class. He would class them as lumpen proletariat. And so he disagreed with these people. So that's why we call them neo-Marxists. The neo-Marxists now say that these uneducated, illiterate immigrants from Mexico and Latin America, that they're going to be the tool they use to destroy Western civilization and put them, a tiny minority of upper class wasps and rootless cosmopolitans on top of the food chain. So they want to create something like the social structure of Brazil, which is run by a tiny white, or at the very least light-skinned majority. Everybody else on the bottom, just working hard for just a couple of handfuls of rice a day. So that's their ideal. And so that's what we got to do. That's how we got to fight this thing. Okay? And see, it's also effective in making the left crazy, because they still think, some of the less educated ones, let's put it that way, like these idiots in the media, they believe that they actually still care about the working class, which they don't. They hate the working class. particularly the white working class. But they really hate the entire working class because they were disappointed by the working class. They had hoped that the working class would overthrow, led by them, would overthrow their capitalist opponents. And it's the great disappointment of the 20th and 21st centuries when it comes to leftists, because the working classes of many countries, don't belong to left-wing parties. I mean, even in the horrible conservative party of the United Kingdom, huge portions of the working class vote conservative rather than labor. And the same thing in the United States with the phenomenon of Reagan Democrats, who back in late 2016 went for Trump and enabled Trump to become president of the United States. So their big disappointment is in the working class. So they feel very resentful toward the working class. But we can needle them about not caring about the working class because they still have a sort of residual Marxist-Leninism bouncing around the inside of their brain. And see, what we need to do is we can cause stress and cognitive dissonance in their little, very limited brains of these extremely dogmatic and ridiculous human beings we call leftists, neo-Marxists, so-called liberals. So we have to stab right back whenever they start using that crying Mexican children nonsense. We come right back at them and say, you hate the working class. You hate the American working class. And we prefer them over the crying Mexican children. That'll work. I guarantee you. This is Corncod One of Nationalist News and Notes saying, have a good day.